we were talking about Sufjan Stevens earlier.
Yeah.
And for myself, I'm kind of wanting to do that like composer but also songwriter thing, which is like it's not quite a composer, but it's also not fully just like, hey, here's just rock music or like pop music or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that I want to be sort of on that line. And so first it's just kind of like starting, but like I think the genre thing is another thing that's like, as I've ingested more and more music and tried to just make more stuff, I'm just kind of going like, I don't really care about what the thing is, but just kind of doing it, which is kind of why I asked you about like genre or what sort of stuff. Like what's something that you've been wanting to make, but it's just like out of left field that you feel like might not be.
That I've been wanting to make. I think like honestly, I could start a fucking punk band if I wanted to, but probably more realistically, I'd love to do some more. How would I describe this? Honestly, kind of like I mentioned before, LCD Sound System, things like that. Things like not exactly poppy,
Sure.
but more electronic stuff happening. Like
Yeah.
I guess like Kavinsky, and if you know, I don't know if you know him.
I don't think so.
He had that song in Drive.
Okay.
Night Call. There's something about you. Oh, dude,
I don't
it's one of the sickest vocoders I've ever heard. But things like that, like I'll listen to some music, and you can do a lot with real instruments, but there's such a nuanced customability, I guess, to some of these electronic things. You can get so in the ears of the headphones, and I always liked that. Like, a perfect example would be Julian Casablancas with Daft Punk doing. Oh God, what is that song called?
I don't know.
When you will never be alone again, because it doesn't happen every day. Anyway, it's just like mixing stuff up. It's not poppy to the point where it doesn't have substance, but it's just groovier stuff. Like high production, things like that.
I feel like that's a bigger thing too. Is that because it sort of feels like music as like an art form sort of has like tried to expand as far as its reaches has gotten. And so I feel like with real instruments, like we've pretty much, like without just inventing more instruments, I feel like we've gotten all the sounds that we can out of guitars and drums and stuff like that. But then like once you add production and like sound manipulation and electronics and everything, then it's just like you can take just the traditional instruments and then just fuck them up.
Yeah. So I'd love to get into that. It's not exactly, honestly, I've been thinking about, it's not like super on my mind, but it might be a 2020 thing that I start fucking with when, my studio's back up.
Right.
Is a solo album. And it's like, it's not like there's any less interest in my band. It's more just like stuff that doesn't make sense for us.
Yeah.
Like more, I would like to do like a Mark Ronson type thing, actually. Like, I want to do a solo album with a bunch of fucking people.
Sure.
Like other singers, like every song is kind of a different list of people. I want to work more as a songwriter still, but definitely like a heavier producer role.
Yeah.
Because then genre is nothing. Like it doesn't matter. And I'd love that. I always like producing people's stuff. It is really fun, and to bring other people in and act as a producer on my own stuff would be really fun.
Right. Yeah. Because, and I feel like the world has sort of opened up more to like the producer as creator rather than just the facilitator of the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite bands right now is Sunlux.
Haven't heard them.
And their lead singer, songwriter, composer, whatever, he kind of just started out as like a composer, but he was just like recording stuff and manipulating the sounds. And so it's like some of the stuff you can't even really like play live. You just kind of have to like use a track because you just can't do that with real instruments. But it's like to some extent the music is more production than it is actually playing.
Yeah. And I guess that's an art in its own, really. You're more of an artist as the engineer than you are as the player, like the musician.
Yeah.
But it's still cool.
Or even stuff like Aphex Twin, for example, is like it's just bedroom producer putting stuff out.
For that matter, take fucking oh god, how am I forgetting Australian elephant? Feels like Tame Impala.
Oh, okay.
Tame Impala.
Sure.
Musically, there's some like cool stuff going on, I guess. But the genius is in his production of it. Like that stuff is.
I haven't listened to a whole lot of Tame Impala, but
if you sit down and you listen to what he's doing and you like really pick out little things, there is a lot happening. And yeah, the musical parts on their own are pretty good, but there's some production going on there that makes it insane. Like it is fantastic. Going back actually to Sufjan a little bit, talking about that whole wanting to work into that composer songwriter thing.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I had to come to terms with was the fact that he wasn't the arranger. So he did a lot of work on it, obviously, but he had somebody else working with him. And so that was one thing I took into consideration, was like, maybe if I wanted to break into that area of things, I don't have to do it alone.
Sure.
Now another thing that's interesting is do you know who My Brightest Diamond is? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, so Shara Warden, who also sang backups on his album Illinois and all other stuff, but take her for example. Take Andrew Bird.
Yeah,
he's coming here in October, by the way.
He's brilliant.
He's coming to Jones. But so like Shara Warden is a perfect example for My Brightest Diamond because she writes all of her songs, like a lot of them, on ukulele, and so I think maybe a trick to being able to write these big, expansive compositions and songs, funny enough, is starting with bare bones.
Yeah.
Like literally nothing. Because like you can take some of the most like beautiful songs, and if you just break them down the chords, there's really not a lot going on.
Right, yeah.
It's the ornamentation of it. So yeah, I always thought that was interesting though, like with Shara Warden specifically, because I'll hear her do these live, like little radio live recordings of songs. It's just her and the ukulele.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's way different.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, and that's the thing too. But it's also a reason why I got my master's in composition is so I could do all that stuff myself. And so it's like,
which, yeah.
Right. But like that's it. The harder thing too is that like, it's always time versus money.
And it's not just a matter of whether you have the skill to do it alone. I think it has to do with the back and forth conversation of making music.
That too.
Like it's hard to talk to yourself. Like some people are good at it. And sometimes though, like when you're thinking on that big of a scale, like it's hard to ask yourself the right questions to get to where you want to go.
I mean, sometimes it's just like, you add another track and you go, all right, what's this thing? And you add another one. And like, I feel like at some point, normally I reach a point where I'm like, I don't know what else I can do to this to make it better. I feel like if I...
So then you start taking away.
Yeah, right. And then like start taking away. It's like, is this too much? Is this necessary?
That's a really cool way to do it too. That's why I love piano so much also, because it's the whole orchestra in front of you. But when you're recording, when you're just doing it like that, like say you're in a studio or on your computer, you're adding track to track to track, that is a way to get somewhere, because you'll find yourself with like 15 to 20 tracks. It's all stacked and you're like, okay, this is everything I thought of. Now, how much of it can I take away before it
becomes not the song?
Yeah, exactly. Like now that these are all the ideas I had, so now take everything away until I find whatever I did that's like the essence of what this is, and then build onto that.
Yeah.
And that's a cool way to do that actually, which is a cool modern technology way
Right,
of writing.
yeah. You can't just like get an orchestra and be like, hey, violins, shut the hell up.
It blows my mind still thinking about how some people composed back in the day. Like it's fucking crazy.
On paper.
Yeah, like how like these guys just must have heard it. They heard it all.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a little weird too because I feel like there's this notion of like the composer genius sort of thing when it's really just like just trying shit.
Yeah.
Like,
and of course, back in the day, when like talking specific classical music, there's almost templates.
right.
And of course, the best ones are the ones that break out of it. But like, there's like a fugue is a fugue. You know, they have rules. There's characteristics of it. Like you can write one, and so I mean, following that, maybe it's not super crazy, but
right. But it's still just like it's also like a musical exercise in the same way that it's like, hey, here's a scale in thirds. I can play that on guitar. I can play that on piano, whatever.
what can you do with it?
Right. But it's like whenever you do like a fugue or something, it's just a test of like your writing skill to be like, all right, I have these rules to follow. Let me just see what I can do. Yeah. And Bach just like, he just cranked that out. He was just like, I have mastered the counterpoint.
Yeah.
And I can just, sneeze these now. Yeah. And then that's where sort of like the creativity comes out. Now that you can follow the rules as much as you can, it's like, all right, now that I don't have to think about parallel fifths and octaves or whatever, now I can try and make a nice melody. And so, but again, at the same time, it's like there's no like magic to it, especially if you are dealing like counterpoint or whatever. There's so many other rules that like sometimes there's just no other option but to pick this note.
Yeah.
And that's the note. It's not like, like the heavens opened up and the melody came to me. Like, no. Sometimes that happens.
I think this is why music has gotten so cool to me. I do not believe there is any set of notes that can't go together.
Right.
You can make anything work. This is one thing like that I love talking about with some of my students on piano. Like the older ones are a little further along.
Sure.
I will play them an A major 13 with all the notes right next to each other, and it sounds terrible.
Yeah,
it sounds awful. And I was like, or like a dominant 7 with a flat 9. I'll play it all like right there.
Right.
It sounds bad because it just doesn't work.
You have a whole bunch of like minor seconds. And
exactly,
like,
it's all clashing, and then you voice it correctly, and it sounds really pretty, and certainly it has like emotion. It's going somewhere, like. It's just cool that like it really doesn't matter what notes you're using. It matters where you put them, and that's where like instrumentation and arrangement comes in. But like, I don't know. That's the interesting thing to me. One of the songs that I'm most infatuated with of mine right now, which I don't usually get caught up in my own stuff, but this is one I always liked, and it's so far I think one of the more popular ones, which makes sense because I fucking love this song honestly. But all right. This is one of the songs that I don't remember writing because it just came out, and it's weird to me because it's not simple, and I love it though because the melody uses every note in the chromatic scale.
Yeah, you were telling me about this song.
I told you about that, and to me, like the more I didn't think about it when I was writing it, but the more I go back and analyze it and like look at what's happening, it's fucking weird. Technically, it breaks a couple different rules,
right?
But that's where it goes outside of the thing of thinking about parallel fifths and contrary motion and all these things. Is the melody, and sometimes you can find ways to do things that shouldn't work, but it just does. And that's the thing about music that makes it's really cool to me. I still haven't I can't exactly figure out what about that works so well for me.
Right.
The thing that was I think the most intriguing was my friend who is not a musician at all. She has a lot of trouble like just doing like really advanced musical stuff. Like if you're doing modal things, it might be hard to stick with that, right? But like I've noticed that with that melody, people have no problem singing along to it.
Yeah.
which is really bizarre, kind of, because it's moving around by like half steps constantly, and I don't know. It's just cool. Yeah. I love little things like that pop up. And yeah, that to me was, even though maybe nobody else thinks this, but I like it enough just to say that was one that just popped out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And came down.
Right. And I mean, sometimes songs do just come to you just like fully formed, and it's just like, all right, now I just have to do it.
Yeah.
And there is sort of like a magic to it, but it's not like some genius thing. It's just like, no, this is like what it's supposed to be. Yeah. Like chiseling away at the marble that isn't the statue in a way.
There was a definition of genius that I always liked. It was from like the Renaissance. It's basically that kind of the Italian Renaissance. And the way that they talked about the word genius, it didn't mean like somebody was a genius.
Sure.
Like genius was more like a thing that found you, and it can leave you just as easily. So like somebody does something, like they had the genius or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that could be a thing. Like say like if you study enough, maybe sometimes it's a luck thing, but I believe if you study enough and you focus enough and you do that, then you might make yourself more perceptive or open to that coming to you. But I always liked that idea, not thinking, and it also helps with the whole ego bit that we were kind of talking about before. Yeah. Like you're not a genius, you were just lucky enough for this thing to find you, and you get to be the lucky fuck that gets to like put it out there.
Yeah,
yeah. Because sometimes things feel like that. I don't think I did anything, but it was cool.
Yeah.
And I got to do it. So
right.
I always liked that definition though.
And there's also times where like, you know, you work really hard to just like really put something together.
Yeah.
And of course it's always like, oh, I like that one song of yours. It's like the one that took me like 3 seconds and I was just joking.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to like, but there's this like thing that I worked really hard on and I'm really proud of. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool.
Prime example would be That Doesn't Happen versus Insomnia. Insomnia was my crazy 3 months of like messing with shit. And That Doesn't Happen is dun, 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 dun,
oh, yeah,
dun,
yeah.
Dun, dun. That's the whole song.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it kind of begs the question, like, what is good music?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what does that mean? Like,
crap. That's a question I was going to ask on the last one. Is there such a thing as bad music?
I'd say that falls almost in the category with selling out. Like, if you don't feel like any way about it, then it might not be that good. It's I think good music comes from a genuine place. That's all.
Yeah.
Which sometimes it's simple, sometimes it's not. But as long as you mean it.
Right. And that's kind of the thing too, that like, you know, there's good music because like there are factors in it that I guess you subjectively decide that make it good. But then there's also just like good music as in most people like it. And so that's a weird thing because it's like, you know, a Taylor Swift single is like widely liked.
I mean, view it as conversation. Like, I guess like anybody, like some people are really good at small talk. Some people might even fucking enjoy small talk.
Right.
Like they like those little interactions that don't really mean anything. There's no substance to them. There's the things that you say in passing, and everybody can do that. And that's like Taylor Swift. That's the mainstream stuff. The conversation doesn't really have anything going on. It's just kind of there to pass the time.
I fucking suck at small talk. That's why I have a podcast.
Horrible at small talk. And it doesn't mean anything to me. Now, on the other hand, though, so let's say that we have a conversation like deep philosophical shit.
Yeah.
Like we're throwing out all kinds of like names, or we're talking about poetry, like we're bringing up Keats and all this shit. And like it's really deep, and it both really means something to us. That's a good conversation, equivalent to good music.
Yeah.
Now, let's say you have like two country boys. They don't know how to speak that well. They're not very intelligent, but they have a conversation about something real small, real insignificant to everybody else. Yeah. But they still feel it like as a good conversation. It doesn't.
And the other thing too is that like maybe they'll, you know, have a conversation and be like, yeah, sometimes what's best for you is to like leave it alone. And like that's kind of like a big philosophical idea, but like anyone can reach that conclusion. And it's like, whoa, hey, that's like a good conversation. You didn't need the whole. You didn't need to read like a philosophy book to reach that point.
That's kind of the point. Is I mean, viewing like music as a conversation in the same way. It doesn't matter if you're. It doesn't matter if the language of it is, advanced. It just matters that it resonates.
Right.
And I find that the more genuine it is, the more it will resonate.
Yeah.
So then that still brings up the question, like, is small talk good conversation?
Right.
I mean, maybe you think it is, but if you do, honestly, I'm kind of happy for you because life is a lot easier for you to enjoy shit.
Yeah. I was a cashier for a little while, and it's all small talk, and I hated it because it like, I guess the weather is a thing, cool, but it's like, I don't know. I would always want to like go just like a layer deeper, but then it's like we don't have time to do this. I already bagged your stuff. Here you go. But it's like, oh, hey, like you have this thing. What are you making? You're making a pie. What kind of pie? Do you often make pie? Pie by hand is like really hard to make. It's like, that's, going slightly deeper than just small talk. It's like, oh, well, never mind. Bye.
Yeah. I always relate music to conversation. That just always made so much sense to me. But yeah, small talk, that version of it, that's kind of how it feels with music. Like you listen to something, you're like, I didn't quite get what I needed out of that. That didn't really do it for me. Like I could have used some more.
But there is music that like, for whatever reason, like sticks through the times. Maybe it's because of popularity. Maybe it's because of the music itself. But it's like, for whatever reason, like Billie Jean is still a banger.
Let's go back even further. Come Together is still a fucking banger.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the Beatles. But one that sticks out to me that I've always thought it was so simple, but it's so perfect. Actually, this is such a cool thing. Man, so Sketches of Spain?
Yes? Question mark?
Fucking Miles Davis.
Yes.
Sketches of Spain.
Yes. Yeah.
So, White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go, chasing rabbits. And so she apparently, while on LSD, listened nonstop to Sketches of Spain. And I find this really interesting because that song is really simple. There's strums, a little guitar, and a vocal.
Bolero beat.
But after I found out that was how she got the idea for that, I listened to Sketches of Spain, and I'm like, I listened to that song again, and it's really, there's not a lot going on, but once like, I think that's why it's stuck around and why it's still a good song. And it's still a thing that people listen to, I think.
Right.
Because I don't know how to explain it. It's like outlining the negative space of the influence that birthed it, I guess. And like listening to it is such a cool thing because there are these little inflections going on that just, I don't know. It's a really cool song. That's one of those weird earworms that's not.
Yeah. Well, because it's like, it's kind of straight through, but it like has repeating sections at the beginning and then just like a big ending.
Feel your head.
Yeah.
Just
but and then it just ends. You're like, finally, the thing that I've been waiting for the entire time.
If you turn it up loud enough, it'll rip your soul out.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Man, that we could, if we get into like, I'm thinking about all kinds of shit now. Just the fact, what you just said, like getting there and then taking it away. I have fallen in love with that concept. I don't know how to, what to even call that really. It's almost a termable thing.
Right. Well, I mean, I kind of noticed that a little earlier on as I was starting to write songs, I wouldn't write like the traditional song structure. I would like, instead of verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, I would go verse, chorus, bridge and not bring back the chorus. I would just like end the song. So it was just like a coda. And I was like, hey, everything built up to this and then we're done. It's like, I don't know why I was doing it so much, but it's like, I didn't feel the need to go back
See, I had a similar weird thing with structure. I never went verse, chorus. I would go like verse, verse, interlude, and then one chorus. I'd only do the chorus once.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was this big chorus.
Right, yeah.
One of those, exit music for a film.
Yeah.
Radiohead. So that is my number one example for getting there.
Yeah.
And then ripping it away from you.
Yeah.
Like, it does such a good job. And it's not in anything to analyze really either. It just happens and it's great.
But the other thing about exit music is that it builds up and it gets there, but it also just has like the tiny death at the end.
Yeah.
Like, as opposed to like with White Rabbit, it's like feed your head, song's over. Yeah. It's like, we hope that you choke, and then we hope that you choke. Like just a little tiny. Yeah. So it's like it gets you there, and then it's like, are you good? Let's just bring it all the way back down.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that kind of it makes you just want to listen to it again.
Because it's not ending it, but it's like, yeah, and then you're like listening still, and you're like, wait.
Bring it
still,
back. I need more.
Yeah. It's more tension than just ending the song. So you don't, especially when you hear it for the first time. But
yeah,
I love that song.
And I'd been listening to a podcast, Bobby Owsinski's Inner Circle, and he sort of talks about like the music industry or whatever. He actually wrote one of the books that we use for music production at ACN. So like he's like a industry veteran for like music production and stuff. But he talked about how songs and song structure have been changing due to the streaming format. Because people are just kind of wanting just like a soundbite essentially, and so songs are getting shorter. And so if you have like an intro without like bringing the words in or whatever, then it's like, I'm done, and skip.
I hate it. I hate that. There's so many reasons I hate that. One, because I love writing long fucking songs, but like,
right.
There's, God, I hate that so much. Streaming has destroyed albums.
Yeah.
Like, there was Illinois by Sufjan Stevens is a perfect example, actually.
Is that important? Real quick? That's okay.
So we know Chicago. You know, what is it? The UFO at the first opening track, and some of the bigger songs off there. Yeah. But let's take like
so much 5/8.
Like some of the
loves 5/8.
5/8 is great. Or the Man from Metropolis. Let's take let's hear the strings again, or the just some of the other songs in between the ones that work well as singles. Those songs, when you play them by themselves, they're okay, and they seem a little long-winded. They don't make that much sense, but that's because they're movements of a full piece. That album, when you listen to it from the beginning to the end, it is fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah, it's a whole experience.
It's cohesive, yeah, and like that's the thing is like now we just listen to singles, but like I don't want to. The Epic by Kamasi Washington.
I don't know it, but.
Kamasi Washington was he's a jazz dude, but he also was the sax player on the Pimp a Butterfly.
Okay.
He did a Kipling theme from Get Down Brothers. But Kamasi Washington released this album. It's a 3-hour album called The Epic. And I remember I listened to the first song. It was Change of the Guard, I think. And I heard like 45 seconds of it, and I stopped it. And I literally waited about 2 weeks. And then I sat down and listened to the entire thing from the beginning to the end. It's fantastic. And I think that's something that is heavily lost on like modern music is we don't listen to albums at a time because we don't take the time to do it. But like some things need to be, I don't know, it's cool to craft an album. Yeah. Like it's a novel instead of a fucking short story.
I seem to only think in albums actually, because it's like I have like 4 things in the pipeline, and so it's like this is the structure of the things that are coming, and this is a cohesive idea, and I can't really like take things out of it or like put things in that shouldn't fit. But if I did it all as like singles, but then I was like, no, these are all linked together. It's all one thing. Yeah.
this year's been interesting because of like talking about that kind of thing.
Right, because you guys are just doing singles.
Yeah, singles every month. And everybody's asking for us to put them into an album at the end of the year. And I'm going to. Like, not like a big release or anything, but on like streaming, I'm going to release it as an album. And it's interesting looking at that, trying to take 12 songs that weren't released with any, what's the word? Awareness of the other.
Right.
And trying to put them in an order that makes sense for a cohesive album. That'll be interesting.
Right. Well, the weird thing, too, is that, like, you could also just list them chronologically.
That seems... See, that's the thing I don't want to do. Because I'm going to put them out in an album. I want to make it make as much sense as I can. Chronological is the easy thing, and that's what people would expect. But, like, I feel like there might be a cooler way to do it. I just don't know yet. But yeah, the flow of an album is interesting. That's always something that, like, there's multiple theories about how to do it. Like, do you start with your banger?
Yeah.
Like, do you put all the good stuff at the front? Because then you have...
Because then people just stop listening halfway through. Because then if you like, you know, oh yeah, that song was a banger. And then it's like, here's a ballad. And you're like, I'm done.
I think the cool way to do it is that's kind of what we did with our album, actually. So, like, the very first song, well, no, it's not. That's not for modern people because it was a slow intro. I'm terrible at this, but I'm not going to go anywhere. But I think it's a cool thing to do with an album is just start it off like, either do that or maybe do what we did and kind of have it slowly trickle up, but I don't think that's as popular. So first song's got a bang, right? And then probably the first 4 songs should all be pretty good. I think in the middle is where you can kind of, because if they're listening, then you like that far in, then you've probably got them. In the middle of the album, maybe kind of tone it down a bit, do like the heartstring shit, like get emotional. And then you got to end stronger than you started. And I think that's a cool way to do it. But I don't think an album's too often. And that's a tricky thing. There's so many different ways to go about it, honestly. I don't know what works the best. I mean, the conversation was that albums are dying anyway. So maybe
exactly. Doesn't. But it sucks, though, because... so, again, with the algorithm thing, it's like songs are getting shorter. They're taking off intros, and they're just putting the chorus at the beginning. So it's literally just like, bang, here's a chorus. Now here's a verse. Bang, here's another chorus. Now here's a verse. Bang, here's another chorus. Like and it's over.
Like Imagine Dragons type shit.
Yeah. So it's like there's not even a bridge. People just want the chorus and then something to differentiate from the chorus so that we can be more excited that the next chorus comes in.
Man. I don't even know how to talk about it. It's just so upsetting.
But it's like and it's shorter songs too. So it's like
imagine if other things in life were like that. Like imagine if like you get it like you're going out, you're on a like the third date, you get the girl back home, you take your clothes off, and then it's over. And you get to go home. That's it. You don't even talk about it. Yeah. It's not worth talking about. That's it. Like, yeah, it was good, I guess, but now you're gonna have to go get another one.
Right.
Like, I'm just saying, like, it's such a. I know music isn't that important to everybody to think of it as an experience like that.
Sure.
But it's so goddamn cheap. Like, just to make it short like that. That was. Sorry for the vulgarity. For some reason, that just makes me upset. I don't know.
No.
It's
God. But yeah, no, it's
I know
like
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And I mean, maybe movies are kind of doing that too. Like, if you go with like, you know, the big Marvel films, it's like, bang, here's a big fight scene, and then there's like stuff building up in the middle. Bang, here's another big fight scene, and stuff building up in the middle. Bang, here's another big fight scene, and we're done.
You know, I gotta say, I am a Marvel fan.
I am too.
If we're thinking about the last movie, I won't give away any spoilers.
Right.
But like Endgame
did do that differently.
It did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I like the way it started. There was no fight. Like that's why I think it did a good job, because that was not with not with a bang, but with a whimper.
Right.
There was no goddamn fight. Everyone just died.
Yeah, exactly.
So like,
and yeah, like the first like 30 minutes of the movie is just like
the reaction.
we got to deal with this.
Yeah, that was great. It has nothing to do with anything really, but I just liked that movie.
Right. No, but at the same time, like they did that on purpose because it's like, yeah, we're so used to,
norm.
Yeah, we're so used to like, here's a big fight scene. And then they were like, well, we're already turning the thing on its head by making them lose. So,
and you know, the thing about anything that happens in culture is there's always a counterculture. Like, I mean, there's a reason that there's a rise in vinyl sales again. Like people, there will always be what's popular, and then there will always be the counterculture to doing everything else. Like if, I'm trying to think of like in the past, like what's happened. Like take the 90s, for example. Everything went real electronic. Everything got real produced. And then they were like, all right, fuck this. And it was just loud, noisy, analog shit. Like it's the same thing. And like the response to that, we went from back to fucking Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and Britney Spears, and it got really poppy. Result of that, we got the Strokes. Suddenly shit was cool again. And it keeps going back and forth.
Yeah.
This is a little different because this is a massive shift technologically, like streaming and all this stuff. I mean, the music industry still doesn't know what the fuck just happened. We're like still on our back, but like,
right.
I don't know. I'm curious to see where it goes. Right now, it feels more sandbox than ever because like while it isn't great and the mainstream like way that people go about using the platform is like this short, like 2-minute things and bursts and stuff like that. I think that people are now able to do whatever they want. You can, if you get creative enough, you can actually use this to like fucking Chance the Rapper is a good example. That's somebody who used this new model to do some pretty cool shit. It's not easy, but you can do it on your own if you want. And you don't have to follow those rules. I still believe there's an audience.
Right. Well, the other hard part too is that like maybe I'm just getting more cynical, but like sometimes it feels like it's just marketing budget that's just like, hey everyone, we're now listening to Billie Eilish.
Oh yeah. And that's what I was saying before. Like the most important thing for musicians to do is find their own music because everything else is going to get fed to you automatically. Like it's easy to listen to what everyone's listening to. And it's easy to make everyone listen to something. Like, honestly, Billie Eilish everybody seems to come out of nowhere lately. Sure. Like, who was it before Billie Eilish? There was fucking, I don't even know. I can't even keep track of them. They just show up and then they leave.
Right. But well, now it's like Lil Nas X because he did Old Town Road. And then that's like.
See that? He released actual, like, his step-by-step marketing plan.
Right.
Before it came out. And that was a perfect example of what you're talking about. It really does come down to marketing. If I had enough money, I could be famous within the next 3 months. And I know I could. I'm not saying it would last, but I could be famous.
Sure.
Like.
Right. And when you make that the goal, like, sure, you can do it.
Yeah.
But it's like, do you want to?
Yeah, it's like, are you going to get everyone's attention by saying some meaningful shit, or are you going to just fire a gun in public? Like, everyone's going to look at you.
Right.
But, yeah.
I mean, I want there to be room for that. Like, I don't know, like, Bruce Springsteen, as an example, like, gigantic, obviously, but was definitely saying something.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's happening anymore. Like, if there's someone that's gigantic that's still actually saying something.
No one's really saying anything.
Because, I mean, Taylor Swift released a song that was like, hey, I'm cool with the gay people, so should you. But everyone's like, Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
So it was like, who was that even for?
I think that has to do with the fact there aren't really movements anymore.
Yeah.
There are micro movements like social media. I would swear it's almost a goddamn tactic from somebody to keep us like distracted. Cause
Definitely.
it would be like before there would be big movements and they would all work towards, and now someone's just like, hey, what is happening over here? And everyone's like, yeah. And someone else is like, wait, what about this? And everyone's like, yeah. And now we just keep doing that forever.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we could sing about it, but by the time you put the fucking song out, no one's listening anymore.
Yeah, it's already dead.
Like,
it's why like memes are just this weird ethereal. I'm kind of a meme lord.
They just evolve non-stop. It is weird. It's very strange.
But like, it seems like music is meming now. Like, again, Old Town Road was just like
fucking meme.
Yeah. And that's why it became so popular, because it's a meme. People are like, hey, have you heard this hilarious country song?
Unironically like it. Though.
Right, no, but that's sort of what happens with culture anyways.
You
like,
make a joke of something and then it becomes ingrained in the culture.
Right, exactly. It's like, ha ha ha, lit fam, darn these kids using these stupid terminologies. And they're like, then you walk into a party and then you're like, damn, this place is lit.
Yeah.
It's like, wait,
did I just say that? I say dope.
Yeah.
I mean, like, fucking, I still, I think it started as a joke, but every once in a while I'll just be like, hell yeah, brother. Like, that's not how I talk.
Right, yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. Groovy was the first one.
Yeah.
I'm okay with groovy.
I mean, I think I said word for a while.
Word, yeah.
Yeah.
Tight, lit.
I mean,
dope.
Yeet has made its way into my vernacular already.
I still can't. Yeet is still too much of a joke for me. I can't say
Yeet's great.
I can't take yeet seriously. Like, I can yeet something. And that's hilarious. I don't know.
But yeah, like music, and maybe it's because we are musicians and so we treat it in this way. Like, music is our whole lives, and so we can't just like meme music. There's staying power in the words, in the notes, in the everything that, you know, we hold really close to us. And so I can't just like, hey, cool, this is my favorite song right now, and I'm done. And it has no relevance to my life whatsoever now.
Yeah.
And that's just, yeah.
And that is, like, some things feel, I try not to be offended by it, I guess. But sometimes I'll put a song out and then it gets memed. Like, honestly, like, in a way. Like, it'll be, I don't know how to describe it. It's hard to put out songs that are significant to you when the significance of songs in general has been lost on the majority of people listening. Right. So it's, I don't know. It's a whole thing. The music industry is just so goddamn weird. But at the same time, you've got these pockets of, there is no doubt tons of great music being made right now. Yeah. That's not the argument. Like, the music is there's still good music. Yeah. It's just not what everybody's listening to. And it takes a little bit more work to find it. And so why do the work when you could just be fed the music? Right. So.
And which is like, so I mean, was Michael Jackson legendary himself? Did the music create that sort of power?
I'm going to go ahead and say Quincy Jones is responsible for
Michael Jackson. Sure. But it's like, you know, it's this giant, has a big cultural influence or whatever. But it's like, is the music so good that it should actually be listened to by this many people?
It was more of an icon type thing.
Right.
Which is really what music's turned into. It's like the cologne might not smell good, but it's got Kim Kardashian's name on it. And that's what musicians are. Like, Billie Eilish she's not her music, she's Billie Eilish.
Right.
Maybe
her music's pretty good, actually.
So, and that's the thing. Maybe I was about to say that might be a bad example, but you know what I'm referring to.
Sure.
Those people who they're more of a face than the music itself. It's
Right.
like they're modeling for their music. It's weird. The image of everything has just gotten to be a little too overwhelming.
I mean, I think that Bruno Mars musically sort of tapped into something with 24K Magic in that, like, here's good music, like musically.
Yeah, no, that was some like late 70s era like stuff going on there. There was some like really cool synth lines. There's some really cool, like I analyzed that actually because I had to make a instrumental version of 24K Magic for somebody because I didn't want to buy the instrumental, so I did. It's kind of weird, but whatever. And so I had to like go part by part and tear apart those synth lines. There's some stuff going on in that song, like in some of those songs. Like it's not just like vapid pop music. Like there's stuff happening, and that's why Dirty Loops was actually the ones. If you know Dirty Loops, they're the ones who made me change my mind a little bit about pop music in general. It's not that I don't like pop music. That's kind of where I started realizing that like it's more about the genuine nature of something. Like if you can make it something you actually care about, it doesn't matter what style of music it is. It can be good.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me so much lately is I don't know, music in the mainstream seems to be careless a lot of the time. Like it's more of just a mindless result of something. I don't know.
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with like intent. That if you're intending to, hey, I'm writing this song because I want it to be a banger and I want people to listen to it, versus, hey, I'm writing this song because I have emotions that I need to get out and I feel like I'm trying to say something here. And sometimes those do resonate where you're trying to say something. People are like, wow, that they really did say something, and I connect to that. But like, if an artist is just trying to be like, I'm making bangers and that's it, it is a bit harder to appreciate. But
which that's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
Because you think about, I hadn't actually thought about it like this before, but you think about funk music. Some of those songs don't have a lot of content lyrically. They're not about much, but they groove hard. That's what it is. They're making bangers. That's the point. It's just the music. But
at the same time, though, the musicians that were doing funk were so proficient that they were just doing insane stuff musically. So, like, sure, here's bangers, but, like, here's, 16th note bass lines that are slapped.
Yeah.
That is just, like, clearly the musicians were having fun.
Yeah.
And so musically, it's very dense. But
Either way, I guess that's what it comes down to, is the reason they're making it. I don't know. I can't say I don't know a lot about Billie Eilish.
Sure.
I've heard that she's pretty good, but I haven't listened much yet.
Her music's
I've only heard I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's really well produced, and she is a product for mass consumption of people who are self-diagnosed of anxiety.
Fair enough.
That is really harsh, but at the same time, she is saying something, which I appreciate, but it's not something that hasn't been said.
The thing that's scary to think about is Bruce Springsteen was saying what everyone was thinking, right? What if she is too? What if that's what that's what's going through everyone's head? Yeah. That's on the forefront. And it's not that much.
Well, what she's saying is just like, I'm kind of messed up. I've gone through some shit.
That's exactly what everyone is saying.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it's fallen down to, is everyone's just like, yeah, I'm kind of messed up.
Which I kind of had this thought a few months ago where I was just like, man, I'm just kind of bummed out about everything. Am I depressed?
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, no, I feel like the world is depressed.
Yeah.
That like we've created this environment of everything sucks. And so it's like it kind of just bled into my mind. And I'm like, am I supposed to be sad right now? Things are sad.
Things are trying to
Right.
look, man, like, yeah, the global or climate change is a thing. Shit's fucking up. Our government's not exactly super awesome right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like really terroristy things happening basically every day. I'm pretty sure there's still genocides going on, but fuck if we know because we're busy being fed reality TV shows and all the mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
And then the fact that we remember that for a second reminds us, oh, wait, I should feel bad, but I don't feel bad about the right things because I'm terrible.
Yeah.
And that's living in America.
Right. But even so, it's like myself, my own life. I'm actually really happy. Like, I'm probably happier than I've ever been.
You're a little radiant seed in a dark abysmal world.
Sure. But it's like, and I mean, shit's kind of been sucking lately for reasons I won't get into, but like, even still, like, I'm really happy. And so, like, the rest of the world is sort of,
and
like, telling me that I'm sad.
And so that's why, like I said earlier, it is a choice. Sometimes a harder choice, but it is a choice to be happy. Because it's easy to be happy when things are making you happy, but when the world sucks, you have to decide to still be happy.
Yeah.
Because there's always. There's always things in personal life that can be good, even when the majority of the world is bad. But I don't know. Things are complicated.
Yeah.
It's a weird time.
And I mean...
And we have access to every bit of information that there is in the world, too. So,
and I'm sure there's a lot of art and music that is out that we can find that says exactly what we're talking about. Just doesn't have the marketing budget to be able to reach all of the people.
And the other question is, even if it did, would we rather be marketed to that the world is kind of not a great place, or do we want to hear Happy by Pharrell? It kind of reminds me of...
It had actually been a while before I had... Yeah, it had been a while before I had heard Happy by Pharrell. But then I like heard it again recently, and it made me unhappy.
Yeah. It's the beginning of Lego Movie.
I actually haven't seen the Lego Movie, but whenever it was about to come out, I was like, that's going to be really cool. And people are like, that looks dumb.
It's pretty good.
Right. And then I was like, hey, I was right. It was really cool. But I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
It's a strange thing. It's such a mind fuck. It's hard being happy when everybody is sad.
Mm.
And it's equally as hard feeling happy when you know that everyone probably shouldn't be.
Sure.
Like it's like watching people on the Titanic like just chilling. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, this shit's going down, right? Like, why are you guys so happy? To the point where it almost makes me feel like something's wrong with you. Because you're like, this, am I the only one seeing this? Like,
yeah.
shit's kind of exploding right now.
Right. But that's the thing. It's like, I can't remember where I heard it, but it was like, if you have like problem dealing with stress, you can kind of go, all right, what's going on? What can I do? And then go, should I be freaking out? Like, do I have reason to be freaking out right now?
Well, I never really have a reason to be freaking out.
Exactly. And so it's like,
it's just the realization that sometimes there are things that you can do nothing about.
yeah.
And so you gotta chill and whistle a tune while you're like, tied to the train tracks.
Yeah. And kind of what you were saying before is just like, stop, smell the roses, and just, enjoy what's going on. And sometimes that means enjoying I guess okay music on Spotify, or digging around and finding like
Maybe
really
both.
cool
Maybe
stuff.
both can exist. I don't know. It's possible.
Last thing I wanted to ask you about: how do you feel about the music industry in Oklahoma specifically?
I don't know. It's kind of weird. There's some stuff going on. Oklahoma. The thing is, here the stakes aren't that high. Like if you were in a big city, like let's say you're in LA or New York, there's a standard. There's a thing that's going on. There's a scene, like a defined scene. And if you want to do well in it, maybe you'd have some incentive to match it to be like that. But here, there's not really a scene that's exclusive or anything like that.
Right.
There's not any big. The stakes aren't high to the where I mean to say like to fit into something to excel. So like really, you can do whatever you want here. You can play shows. You can be a part of the scene. So it's very inclusive, which is a good thing. But it's just inclusive because I don't think there's we're not really on that map yet.
There's not a whole lot going on.
We're getting there. And there is
Well,
stuff
no, there is a lot going on, but
locally.
people don't think there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem.
I think musically, just for the sake of music, outside of the industry, outside of succeeding or whatever, if we're just talking about music for the enjoyment of music, Oklahoma's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
There's lots of jam sessions. There's lots of shows to see. There's lots of things happening.
There's lots of really good artists here.
Yeah, there are. So, I mean, just from the standpoint of just music for music, it's good. Things are good here. We have a good scene. And people doing good things. A lot of like venues are getting more supportive. And I think, I mean, there's a chance this could be a bubble and like we could get more. It'll explode in a bit.
I certainly hope so.
It'd be cool. I'm definitely getting more worried every day that I won't be able to afford to live here. So we'll see what happens.
Right.
But if there's a bubble that explodes and I'm the benefactor, then cool.
Right. But it's also kind of a weird thing that I feel like the mass audience that we could be reaching just doesn't know that there's music.
Yeah. Even in Oklahoma alone, like I don't think it's that they don't know. I don't think they care. I really don't. Because it's not, if it were just that they don't know, then the guys that come up to the bar would be like, oh, there's a show tonight. Cool. And not be like, oh, it's $3. That's fine. And then leave. Like, it's $3 fucking dollars. But yeah, that's still a thing. And it's a climate that we're trying to change, but it's hard to do that. But yeah, literally, I played a show and people would be like, I'm only going to be here for a minute. And they don't want to pay the cover. Like, dude, just come on.
Right. And like, you guys are great.
Well,
Like,
thank you.
I would pay more than $3 cover and stay the entire time. What the hell? But like,
It's just, it's, I think it comes back again, maybe to an attention span thing.
yeah,
Maybe everyone's
yeah,
all over the place. Like, I don't know. I'm going to just keep playing music. It's,
yeah.
fuck it.
But I mean, I do want to find a way to like make it to where the people that come to Oklahoma shows aren't just all Oklahoma musicians.
Yeah.
And to where it's like, I've kind of been using this example in this conversation. It's like, if a guy that gets off work at like Chesapeake, you know, goes, hey, I'm going to go to a bar, see what's going on tonight. And goes, hey, cool, there's music going on. And accepts that rather than goes, I'm going to go to a bar tonight. Ugh, there's a band playing. I'm going to go somewhere else.
Exactly. And we just need to, I think we will reach a point where the people that kind of lead some of these things like OK Sessions, people like Christian Pearson, those people who are getting around and doing things on the behalf of our music scene, like there will be sit downs with people like Mayor Holt and people in the government, and there will be almost a rebranding of what our city is. And when this city decides that it is a music city, and they treat itself like it is, then people will accept that.
Yeah.
But until then, it's just a side show thing.
Yeah. Turns out there's music here.
Yeah. Like Austin putting those digital tip things in, that's a city that supports music.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Yeah. Like if you're not going to go out in Austin and be like, ugh, there's a band playing. Like of course there's a fucking
band playing. You're in Austin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what it has to be.
Right. And that's what I want the culture to become. Yeah. Really, in any sort of like bigger city in all of the flyover states. Like
that's going to be a minute. I don't know anything about Nebraska. Maybe they have a whole thing.
Right.
Who fucking knows?
They probably do. I'm sure they have like a really cool punk scene.
Maybe, yeah. Punk scenes are always the thing that pops up in those small places.
Exactly.
Because everyone's like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Like, there's too much corn. And then they get mad and start bands.
You could start a corn cover band in
Jesus
Nebraska.
Christ.
But no, I want that to be the thing. It's like, hey, we're in Little Rock, Arkansas. What's here? Music. Yeah. Hey, we're in, I don't know, what's fucking Wyoming?
It could be something else too. Like a little, like maybe I'm in this city in Nebraska and it'd be like, we do fucking film here. Like we do short film, all these people. Maybe this is art. Or there's I don't give a fuck as long as more arts, just more arts. People appreciating that shit happens and it deserves to be paid for. It'd be cool. And I'll admit, sometimes I don't go to shows. It's never.
I don't go to a lot of shows. I'm poor.
See, that's one thing is I'm pretty broke, and sometimes honestly, I can't be around a lot of people. Sometimes it's just a thing. Like sometimes when I have shows, I'm in that mood, and I really gotta work myself up to do it. And sometimes I don't have the energy to put myself in that mood to be, to go to shows and stuff. Right. I always feel guilty. I didn't go to, I was going to go, Dear People and Bronx Show, that big Tower Theater show. I was going to go because it's Dear People's last show. 50,000 fucking people outside the place. And I was just like, yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah. But, and I mean, it's also... Again, we're all musicians supporting musicians. Yeah. So it's like we're poor and we have enough mental problems to be wanting to write music in the first place. So it's like we're not exactly the audience for each other. And there's a whole other wider audience.
Yeah, and that's interesting too. Why they sold out Tower Theater for that show?
Sure,
I know it's an older audience. I know Bronx Show is more famous, but we're capable. Of bringing people out. Yeah, like the people are there.
We just need it to be not just the musicians supporting the musicians because we're already having a hard time as it is.
How many people? Tower Theater holds like 800 to 900 people, something like that.
It's a lot of people.
A lot of people. That's enough to fill up almost every venue in the city. Like, honestly.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, you could do it.
Yeah.
Every weekend. No problem. So.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm Santiago Ramones.
I am Johnny Manchild.
Plug your stuff.
Okay, play it again. Johnny Manchild and the Poor Bastards. Yeah. On Spotify, we're on iTunes, as long as it exists. We're on Apple Music, Amazon, Google Play, all that stuff. We've got a website at manchild.band. Got a Twitter, at Johnny Manchild, Instagram at Poor Bastards. Follow us on the social stuff, all that. And our online merch store, Bastard Boutique. There's literally nowhere you can go that we won't be. So just, yeah.
Yeah. And just to give you a little bit... They make really cool and fun music and really good songwriting, really cool instrumentation. They're all great people. Listen to it. It's great.
Sick.
Yeah. You can you can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. Do the whole Machinations experience because it's really important to me.
I'm going to do it today.
All right, cool. Well, thanks. But yeah, it's probably only the length of a movie. So like you could either watch a movie or you can go to santiagoramones.com/podcast/machinations.
Oh, dude, no, like for real. I'm gonna sit in the pool like when it gets dark tonight and just put that on a speaker and just chill. That's gonna be good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you can follow along with lyrics. There's a lot of lyrics, so it's like, whoa, there's a lot going on here. So yeah, it's like a Black Mirror but with music.
Sick.
Yeah.
My cat's just like owning your.
Oh
bag.
yeah. The cat is trying to get in the bag, but it is out of the bag.
Cat's out of the bag.
Yes, thank you. I was on my podcast with my 3 things. They shape my life philosophy. Those 3 things are: love never fails, it's going to be okay, I might be wrong.